Welcome to This Week in Crazy America. This week, it's been one of the craziest we've seen for a long time. And we've got some really insane stories for you. We've got storming of the Bastille in St. Louis, Permit Karen, a clash of ideology for Florida seniors, and a joyride in a fire truck. Now, before we get into that, take a moment, folks, if you're new at this channel, to press the subscribe button below. This is a weekly update that we put out on the craziest stories across America. And if you subscribe, you'll also get our regular updates throughout the week on other stories as and when they happen. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I think without a doubt the most striking image of the week was gun-toting Karen and Ken. Let's call them Karen and Ken, not their real names. But this was a wealthy, white, late middle-aged couple from Missouri in St. Louis. They confronted a mob that they said was encroaching on their property. Ken, as you can see, was brandishing a semi-automatic rifle, and Karen had her own scary-looking pistol. Now, the couple were later identified as Mark and Patricia McCloskey, and they say they only did what they did because they felt for their lives. They say that a mob broke down the gate to their property. It has to be said, their magnificent palatial property. And that mob told the couple they were going to burn their property to the ground. They were going to kill the couple and the couple's dog as well. So at that point, they grabbed their weapons and they used them to try and fend off the mob. Now, there's an interesting nuance here to this story in that Mark McCloskey said that he's a Democrat donor, and he's a fervent supporter of Black Lives Matter. And he added for good measure that the people that really threatened him were the white Black Lives Matter protesters. So that's interesting. One thing that probably didn't help his cause, though, is he said that he thought it was going to be a storming of the Bastille. And that phrase upset a few people. Of course, it put him on the wrong side in the eyes of many people, of the historic French Revolution. But anyway, the couple themselves are now being investigated by the local prosecutor, who is a very woke local prosecutor. So we'll see what happens in that story, but it's got a lot of attention. So moving from Missouri to up north from there, northeast to New Jersey, far less dramatic than the gun-toting McCloskeys, but definitely a lot more annoying and irritating, was probably the villain of the week, the villainess of the week, and that was good old Permit Karen. This was a meddling woman who just couldn't mind her own business, and she marched across to her neighbour's property, not once, not twice, but 3 times. She went to her black neighbours to demand, absolutely demand, that they show her the permit that they'd got to build a new stone patio in their own yard, folks, their own yard. Now, this really is annoying. I don't care what anyone says. This is beyond ideology. You could be the most extreme right-wing guy or the most extreme left-wing guy. Someone coming up to someone else's home to demand a permit is loathsome behavior. This woman really just sunk even lower than that. So after encroaching on the homeowner's property, the woman, name of Susan G. Schultz, completely falsely, and this has been corroborated by witnesses at the scene, claimed that the man assaulted her, the black homeowner, and so she called cops. This is all on the video. Now, you'd have thought at the point at which it started getting video, she'd have said, nah, this isn't worth it. But there is such a thing, and we've been chronicling it a lot recently at Crazy America, and we call it Karen Derangement Syndrome, KDS. They can't see that this is going to go badly wrong for them, and they keep going. And unfortunately for her, not fortunately for the news outlets that have had a lot of fun with this, Permit Karen just kept on going. We just got one question, though. When are these stories going to stop happening? I don't think they will for a while. Now, we know that the summer heat can get unbearable, particularly down south, but one man in Louisiana went far too far in his efforts to cool off. The young fellow named Kevin Wise was at an outdoor recreation store when he just felt an uncontrollable urge to jump in some water. We get it. It was hot. He was sweaty. It's down south. It gets very steamy there. So as stunned onlookers reached for their cameras, this guy jumped fully clothed, I repeat, fully clothed, into a giant aquarium at the store. He made a big splash and presumably, well, we hope for him at least, he felt a bit cooler. Well, Wise will now have another chance to cool off, this time in a jail cell. He faces a criminal damage charge for what he did to that aquarium in Louisiana. So moving back out somewhat to the east, but staying south down in Florida. Retirement, well, it's supposed to be a time to relax. It's supposed to be a time to kick back, enjoy cocktails by your pool, and if you're that way inclined, a lot of golf. Now, it's certainly a time to leave the hurly-burly of partisan politics to the younger folks. Let them get all shouty in the streets. But that's not the way that seniors in one of Florida's biggest retirement communities have been seeing it. We learned this week about the vitriolic fights between right-wing and left-wing old-timers down in Florida at a place called The Villages. Now, this is a very well-known complex located about 1 hour north of Orlando, and it has thousands and thousands of relatively well-heeled seniors living there. And mostly they seem to all care about the stock market and what the golf conditions are for that day. And the place was, until recently, said to be generally peaceful. But a new video surfaced this week, and it showed a white woman in a Black Lives Matter t-shirt hurling abuse at Trump supporters driving by in golf carts. Now, if that isn't a scene for Crazy America, I don't know what is. It sounds very comical. It was very comical as well. One of the older gents in the cart, though, returns the vitriol to the woman with interest. And, of course, we don't condone this horrific utterance, but he shouted white power. In fact, the video was retweeted by the president, who later deleted his tweet. But look, we've just got a simple message here. We don't take sides in this. We just say to those in the villages from Crazy America, calm down, everyone. Enjoy those golden years. Now, going up north, Midwest, Ohio. This is another shocking story. Pizza-loving Jason Lasker was gobsmacked this week when he brought home his usual pepperoni pie. He brought it home for him and his wife to munch on. But when he opened the box, he saw the pepperoni had been arranged in the shape of a swastika. Now, sadly, we don't think the kitchen staff intended the Hindu symbol of peace. Unfortunately, it was the better-known version of the swastika. Now, Lasker was obviously shocked and made some phone calls to the restaurant. Apparently, it was all a big joke for the staff. Well, they're not laughing now. The members responsible were apparently identified and let go by the establishment. But we're not buying it at Crazy America. Something tells us there was a lot more to this story than meets the eye, and hopefully we'll find out. So amid all this hate and madness, thank God there is still room for some good old human compassion. And in this heartwarming next story, it was shown by a family to a poor baby bear, swimming with a tub stuck on its head. So the family, Tricia and Brian Hurt and their son Brady, were fishing in Wisconsin's Marsh Miller Lake when they spotted the young bear in the water, struggling to breathe with a food container stuck on its head. Now, not only did the Hurts take a chance themselves and free the bear from the tub, they stayed and they watched the young bear swim safely to the shore, and they watched until the bear was reunited with his probably by now very worried bear mom. So this was a wonderful story. See, a little milk of human kindness didn't hurt, did it? Now, finally, spare a thought for a thirsty Alaska man who went to extreme lengths to get a drink, but unfortunately for him, he came up short. Now, the gentleman, a young man named Dawson Cody Porter, allegedly broke into a firehouse, stole a fire truck, and drove it a full 15 miles with the emergency lights flashing. The urgent destination, you ask? Well, it was a bar in a neighbouring town. Sadly, for Porter at least, he never made it into the pub. The police caught up with him just before he got that drink. Instead, therefore, Porter has had to make do with the refreshments on offer in the local Bristol Bay detention facility. There you go. Anyway, that's all we've got time for this week, folks. We'll keep you informed. Once again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. The channel is growing very quickly. Press like if you've enjoyed this video. Recommend it to your friends, and we'll have more updates for you soon. In the meantime, see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.
Well, we used to know that damn thing was the whole